Power does not announce itself. It reveals itself quietly. Have you noticed how respect disappears the moment you explain yourself? The moment you expose your plans, your doubts, your hunger for something bigger? Family is supposed to be your fortress. That is the story you were raised on. Blood protects. Blood understands. Blood stays loyal. But loyalty inside a system is rarely unconditional. It is conditional on stability. Family is not just emotion. It is structure. Roles are assigned early. The responsible one, the fragile one, the obedient one, the disappointment. These roles keep the system balanced. When you start shifting beyond your assigned position, tension begins, not because they hate you, but because change threatens equilibrium. Machiavelli observed that power survives by maintaining order. The family unit works the same way. It resists disruption. If you suddenly reveal that you are planning to outgrow the environment, relocate, build wealth quietly, or detach from dependency, the system interprets it as rebellion. Your independence feels like betrayal. Your ambition feels like abandonment. That is why the first thing you never reveal is the architecture of your escape. Not because ambition is wrong, but because transparency invites resistance. Questions disguised as concern appear. Doubt is planted gently. Are you sure? Is that realistic? We just don't want you to fail. It sounds protective. It functions as containment. Envy does not live among strangers. It lives among equals, among siblings, among cousins, among those who compare quietly. The moment you reveal your true trajectory, comparison begins, and comparison breeds subtle friction. So you move differently. You let them think they understand you, but you never hand them the blueprint. You smile at the table. You speak calmly, and you build in silence. Power that announces itself invites interference. Power that moves quietly survives. If this made you think differently, subscribe for deeper psychological insight. Families feel safest when they can decode you, when they can anticipate your reaction, when your buttons are visible. The moment you become calm, measured, and less reactive, something shifts. You are no longer operating from the assigned role. You are no longer easy to steer. And this is where many people make the next mistake. They do not stop at revealing their own wounds. They reveal someone else's. Why do the people who claim to love you the most know exactly how to hurt you? The second thing you never reveal is the map of your wounds. Most people believe honesty heals everything. They sit at a kitchen table, speak about childhood pain, explain how certain words shaped their insecurity, and expect transformation. They expect remorse. They expect awakening. But family systems are not built for awakening. They are built for stability. When you expose your deepest vulnerabilities, you are not just sharing emotion, you are revealing leverage. Every human being stores information, especially emotional information. Not always to use it maliciously, but to use it when threatened. Family arguments rarely stay logical. When tension rises, instinct takes over. If you once confessed that abandonment terrifies you, that feeling inadequate follows you, that criticism cuts deeply, those details become accessible pressure points. In the next conflict, the argument will not stay on the topic. It will drift toward the wound. This is how control often happens, not through shouting, through precision. A single sentence aimed at an insecurity you already revealed, a reminder of your weakness disguised as truth. You've always been sensitive. That's just how you are. The discussion shifts from behavior to identity, and identity is harder to defend. Machiavelli warned that fortresses can become prisons. Emotional fortresses are similar. When you expose your internal structure to people who helped shape it, you give them access to its weak spots, not because they are evil, but because ego defends itself when confronted. Healing is necessary, but healing does not require full exposure inside a system that resists accountability. You can process trauma privately. You can build resilience without broadcasting every fracture. Emotional sovereignty means your reactions are no longer predictable. When you cannot be provoked easily, influence weakens. What happens when two worlds in your life quietly begin to compete for power? The third thing you never reveal is the internal conflict of your romantic relationship. When you fight with your partner, emotions rise. You feel misunderstood. You want reinforcement. So you call family. You explain what happened. You describe their flaws. You frame the argument from your perspective. In that moment, it feels justified. But something subtle shifts. A private disagreement becomes a public narrative. And narratives stick. 2 days later, you and your partner resolve the tension. You talk. You reconnect. You move forward. But your family does not reset with you. They store the version you gave them. The worst moment. The sharpest words. The weakest impression. This is how triangulation quietly enters a system. One relationship becomes filtered through another, not because anyone planned it, but because emotional loyalty inside families runs deep. Your partner is not blood. Your partner is evaluated from distance, and distance removes forgiveness. Machiavelli understood alliances. He knew that overlapping loyalties create instability. When family and partner begin forming silent judgments about each other, you stand in the middle. That position drains energy. It weakens authority. Authority is often read through autonomy. When you handle conflict privately, you project stability. When you outsource emotional regulation, you project dependence. Families respond differently to both. The fourth thing you never reveal is the full depth of your financial position. Money changes perception faster than personality. The moment surplus becomes visible, expectations adjust, requests become more frequent, emergencies multiply, not always with manipulation, often with subconscious entitlement. This is how influence quietly grows, not through force, through access. If people believe you are the safety net, their behavior adapts to that belief. Boundaries blur. Guilt becomes language. Obligation becomes pressure. The fifth thing you never reveal is the graveyard of your past mistakes. There is a human desire to be fully known, to confess, to unload. But confession inside a family system rarely disappears. It redefines you. A single admission can alter the mental image they hold. Future disagreements become filtered through that lens. Human perception is defensive by nature. Once someone categorizes you in a certain way, they protect that narrative, even unintentionally. That is how reputation operates inside close circles. The final revelation is the most dangerous. Your awareness of the system itself. Once you begin noticing patterns, the guilt tactics, the favoritism, the assigned roles, the emotional leverage, the temptation is to confront it openly. But systems resist exposure. When you point at the structure and describe it, you threaten stability. The reaction is rarely reflection. It is defense. You become labeled as dramatic, arrogant, cold. The system protects itself by isolating the observer. But power does not always require confrontation. Sometimes it requires observation, calm boundaries, reduced reaction, quiet distance. You do not need to declare awareness to exercise it. Silence can be structural strength. This is not about rejecting family. It is about navigating it without surrendering identity. When you regulate what information crosses the boundary, you reduce friction, you remove leverage, you preserve internal stability. Most people will never understand this. If you do, subscribe and stay aware.